Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition. I am Kevin, and that is Taylor. And we're going to go over the DraftKings main slate for the NBA slate on Friday. If you're watching live, feel free to drop a comment, ask any questions, and we'll touch it as we go. If you're not watching live, hopefully we can help you out, help you win some cash. If we do help you in any way, you can help us out as well by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. And if you want more advice, you can hit up our Discord linked in the description or on our YouTube page, and that is 100% free. If you want even more than that, you can get our premium plays at our site, dfsbuild.com, just $5.99 a month for everything that we're doing. Taylor's even doing free NHL picks right now. We have a bunch of NFL posts out to help you win big in NFL. Certainly did that last week. And then we, of course, are doing NBA every day, and I have something up for MMA as well. So you get all of that for just $5.99. All right. So the way we do it, we go game by game, highlighting the top plays in every game and looking at team by team as well. So first game up here, we have the Magic hosting the Celtics. And this is actually a pretty underrated spot just because the Magic have been pushing the pace all year. This is a 225.5 spread, which is not, or total. I did that yesterday too. 225 spread. That would be pretty bad. But it's not as high as some of the other totals, but it's also not like egregiously low. So what do you think of Taylor? Is there anybody on the Boston side to start things off that is really, that are really some plays that you want to get to?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same thing we've seen lately. Like they're kind of affordable. Guys, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard really haven't been great, and they're not cheap. But Orlando is a better spot than they used to be. I do this every time, but I feel like Anthony Simons yet again. He's 4,500, so the price is just plummeting. The minutes have come up a little bit lately. He's quite scoring dependent, but like on a slate with sketchy value, Brooklyn value to be specific, I think Simmons isn't really any worse than that. And I think there's a ceiling in there somewhere that we're eventually going to see. So it's kind of annoying how often he pops for me, but he's there again at 4-5. I think it's a good play. Why not? Not a good usage guy, not a great per minute guy, but he is starting. He's had a role and he's cheap. So there's merit to looking his way. Never really in on Nemish Keita. He did pop off against the Wizards the other night, which was pretty annoying, but tougher spot here against a tougher Orlando defense. So, Brown's fine. I think there are other ways to spend that look better than him, but if you want to get into this game as a stack, I don't think it's a terrible idea given the high upside plays and decent value.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about Nets value at some point, and that's like, unfortunately, the most obvious value on this slate. Like you said, Discord, if everybody's going to be playing Nets value, let's try to do something different. And I agree with that logic. Anthony Simons is one of those ways to do that. He is getting minutes, 25 plus minutes off the bench, most likely. It is a good up-tempo environment. And by the way, the Magic are giving up a ton of threes, third most made threes in the league. So Anthony Simons, that's kind of what he is, a perimeter ISO player. I don't hate it, man. I think it's a pretty good play. Is it a safe play? No, because even though he's had a ton of usage, he hasn't really gotten there even at his low prices, but now he's 4.5K. So I don't hate it. If you want to pay up for the Boston guys, Jaylen Brown, 8.5K, that seems about right. Decent projection, good spot. Derek White, again, they've been failing us, but they're not going to fail us forever. So if you want to bet on a seemingly low-owned stack, I am with you. I do like it. It's not really where I'm headed overall, but it does look pretty good. So on the other side, you got the Magic, not as friendly of a spot for them. Like Boston still remains pretty good defensively. So you can pay 9.4 for Banchero. That's not something I'm going to do. Would much rather pivot to Josh Giddey. I don't care if he's owned. He's just a way better play, in my opinion. And there's just other studs to pay for on this slate. I suppose that's going to make Banchero unowned. So there's that. Like, he does have a ceiling. He can get you 50 to 60 fantasy points pretty easily. It's just not the spot for me to bet on it. Franz Wagner price has ticked up 8K. The projection is not good enough, in my opinion, to do that. But that is a fair price. Like, he's been more expensive before. I just wish, like, if I was going to pay 8K for Franz, Banchero was out, or at least Desmond Bane was out or something like that. You can buy low on Desmond Bane too, 6.3, kind of in the vein of Anthony Simons, but Bane has not been that good. Good price, good player, just not really into paying for the wait and see, tonight. That's probably it for me. Like, I guess you could try Wendell Carter, but it, like you said, not a good spot. And by the way, on the other side, yeah, Namias Queta against Washington, you can play anybody. But in this spot, I don't think Queta is really on the board for me either.
I think you hit it all.
Okay. Nothing to add on the Magic side. All right. Speaking of Washington,
I mean, like Bane, you can always play him and hope that this is the night, but not happening.
Not super psyched. Salary wise, sure. Other than that, meh. All right, so the Cavs are pretty much at full strength. I guess there's some questionable takes to monitor. DeAndre Hunter's questionable. Don't know for sure if Darius Garland's going to keep playing consistently, but they should have everybody. And they're in a smash spot against Wizards. This has a really high total. 238 and a half or 241 and a half. It's crazy high, but it is a massive 16 point or 13 point spread here. So it's probably gonna be a blowout, but if Washington can keep it close, like this could be a very stackable game. The only problem is with the Cavs at full strength, it's hard to kind of like feel really good about any of them. I suppose you could pay for Mobley and Spider like right around that 9K range. Somebody probably dropping off the package, but we'll have to let them set it down. But they're fine. And Jarrett Allen in a really good spot at 6'3". I think that's a fair play. Not going to pay 7-8 for limited Darius Garland. Not going to pay 6-5 for Hunter with everybody there. I think it's mostly like, do you want to play the studs? You can do that if you want to. They won't be very owned. And then Jarrett Allen seems like a fair price in a really good spot.
Yeah, so it is an NBA Cup night, which is worth noting. Cleveland lost their opener by 11 points to Toronto. Point differential matters when it comes to like tiebreakers and stuff in the NBA Cup. So while the game has a wide spread and the Cavs generally manage their minutes pretty well with the starters, there's potential they kind of leave guys in a little longer than they otherwise might, just to try and run up the score, get the point differential back in their favor, which gives me more interest in this team than I would have on a normal like regular season game. It's still tough. Like Mobley and Mitchell are expensive. Maybe Donovan Mitchell had a shot.
I think hold on.
Him
on the internet have to pause again. You keep running it.
I'll just keep talking. You go away. Yeah, so Mitchell at 9K, like we saw the other night, there's ceiling there. The Wizards really have no way to defend him or anybody. So if you're playing a bunch of Washington on the other side of the game, which is viable, they do have some value even in a rough spot. I do think running it back with someone on Cleveland makes sense. Mobley's my favorite, just slightly cheaper than Mitchell. I think better positional stuff, power forward's more useful on this slate. So I don't mind Mobley. Jarrett Allen, 6,300. We saw Queta get there the other night against the Wizards. We've been playing centers against Washington pretty consistently for like a decade. So I think you can make a case for Allen. 6 is a solid play. More so on FanDuel, where you can play him at power forward. That's kind of it. Garland probably limited. Not super interested in the other guys for Cleveland. Washington, like I said, could have value. They don't have Bilal Coulibaly. Keyshawn George got a questionable tag with an illness. So there's potential for minutes and a lot of usage to open up here. Again, Cleveland is a really tough matchup, but Washington have some side pieces. Alex Sarr, 6,900. They'll need size against that front court for Cleveland. So Sarr does have upside under 7K, even though the minutes have been kind of frustrating for him. Without Coulibaly, guys like Trey Johnson, Bub Carrington, Corey Kispert could see a few more minutes. I see Carrington kind of popping in some projections. Don't love that. If he's going to be owned, I'm pretty happy getting away from that. I'd rather play Trey Johnson, cheaper, high usage guy. He's been kind of frustrating, but rookies are kind of streaky to begin with. So don't mind Johnson. If George is out, maybe Cam Whitmore at 3.5 is a thing. We know he's a good per minute guy when he gets the chance. So that's fine. But Washington still has enough bodies, even if George is out, to where it's kind of limited overall.
Yeah, if Keyshawn George is out, like I would feel not great about the Wizards' chances of keeping this game close. So that would get me a little bit more away from the Cavs guys. Sorry about that. I had to step away for a second. Thank you for holding it down. But yeah, like Sarr, like I always like Sarr. Like I think the price is a little bit high for limited minutes, but he has a very high ceiling, really good per minute guy. And if George is out, you can certainly entertain Bub. Trey, like you said, Cam, like these are, it's like it's not a good spot, but these are kind of better feeling values than the Nets, So like I would be pretty interested in them as far as where the state of the slate is. But hopefully we don't have to do that. All right, Toronto in Atlanta. This is a really good game environment. The Raptors across the board look good. The only problem is they're healthy, so it's like tough to really find one play we really love. Last time this happened, we're like, if we have to play one, let's play Scotty Barnes, and he nuked like he tends to do. He had 60 fantasy points 2 games ago, 48 last game in limited action because the Bucks somehow got blown out in that game. So he looks the best here once again. Price really hasn't come up that much at 8-3. But Emmanuel Quickly is the better value, the best value that Toronto has to offer at 6-2. It's a little bit too cheap. I always say it. I don't love playing Toronto players when nobody is out. Like ideally one of them is out so you get more usage. But unless something like great opens up where I can go down from him, Quickly looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, if he's owned, that's another guy I'm just fine getting away from. Like the pecking order in Toronto is pretty murky. He's not at the top of it no matter what. He's getting cheaper. It's a good matchup against Atlanta, but Atlanta does get a little bit better defensively without Trae Young. So there's a chance he could see some Dyson, unless they stick Dyson on Barrett or something like that. I think Barrett for 700 more is a pretty interesting play, shooting guard only. Looks like if Quickly's chalk, the other Raptors might not be super owned. Maybe Scotty Barnes a little bit. As always, I'm fine like sprinkling these guys in. Maybe 2 of them if you do want to stack the game. But while it is an appealing game environment, it's always tough to like pin down where you want to be with Toronto.
Yep, 100% agreed. Yeah, I mean, Quickly is probably going to be owned to the price point. So using that logic, if you don't want to build around him, I get it. Atlanta on the other side, no Trae Young, so Jalen Johnson gets a big boost, pushing 9K, but I think he still looks good here. Porzingis is limited, so don't really want to do that. Like, obviously, Porzingis can go off, but the ceiling's kind of capped at the moment. Dyson Daniels gets a big usage bump with no Trae. I think he's okay at 7-1. Don't have a problem with that. Feels gross to pay 6-1 for Nah, but the role is really good. Like, he's scoring very well on the year. If he can do like anything else in with his scoring at 6-1, I think he's a fair mid-range play. I don't have a problem with that at all. Riza Shea at 4.3, just he can go off every now and then, just a GPP dart, but not a comfortable play at all. I'm not really getting too much of this game. Like I had Quickly when I first did my run through earlier today, and that's kind of it. But it's a good game spot, a good stackable game. If you want to get to Jalen Johnson, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just I'm probably not going to do it.
Yeah, it's a good game. Like Toronto's defense is kind of shaky, and there is usage around without Trae. But the Hawks are kind of priced appropriately now. I think my most interesting piece would be a Okongwu at 5'9" off the bench. But again, that's like mid-20s to maybe 30 minutes at the most. Right. So I don't know how much ceiling is really in there. Say Alexander Walker, like the positional stuff's good, point guard, small forward, but there's not really a ceiling there at 6,100. He's not really a guy I'm worried about burying me if I don't have. I do think Riza Shea is a fine differential value. Like I'm talking Brooklyn, probably next. So like Riza Shea just has the same floor and a similar ceiling as these guys on Brooklyn who are going to be mega owned. So don't mind that pivot. If Kennard's out, maybe Riza Shea gets a few more minutes flowing his way. So I do think that's interesting. Dyson and Jalen, fine if you want to mix in, but nobody I'm building around.
Yeah, and Toronto gives up the 5th most made threes, so Riza Shea is probably going to have quite a few open looks in this game. So it just gives even more reason to consider him in tournaments. 4.3,
Toronto,
pretty nice.
Like they give up a lot of threes, but they're not giving up a lot of 3-point attempts. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a sign that their opponents have been a little bit lucky, I think, from 3-point, but it is still early in the season.
Yep. All right. So Detroit against the Nets in Brooklyn. This is an 11-point spread. The Pistons are naturally massive road favorites. I mean, I would imagine this is a blowout, but you just never know. Cam Thomas is out, so that gives Michael Porter Jr. a massive boost, and that makes us look at Nets value. So it feels gross, but it's a thing. Before we get to the Nets, though, they're the Pistons. Cade Cunningham looks awesome. If you don't want to pay all the way up for Giannis or Wemby, Cade is a fine guy to stop at. Jalen Turner looks really good as well, projected really well for 7.5K. Feels like a little bit much to pay in a possible blowout on a slate where there's a lot of good mid-range plays, but he does project well, and the Nets are like the best possible matchup outside of maybe Washington inside. So that looks good. Azur Thompson with Tobias Harris out. He looks pretty good in the mid-range at 6'3". Isaiah Stewart keeps starting with Tobias out. 5'7" is about as much as I want to pay for Isaiah Stewart. I was right about him the other day. I was like, I don't think that usage is going to continue. He shot half the amount of times he did the game before. So that's probably what I would expect, like 9 to 10 shots from him. Is he really going to get there on that kind of roll? I don't know. You did note last time that he is a good per minute guy, though. So, he should be fine at 5'7". If you land him at 5'7", there's worse things to do. Oh my gosh, now my phone's going off. I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, so the last game was a pretty good case for why I think I advocated for the max 1 rule between Duren and Stewart. Like if one of them goes off, the other's probably not really getting there in a big way. We saw Stewart was okay for the dollar, but Duren was like a slate breaker that night. And since they score similarly with rebounds and block shots and buckets around the rim, I just think max 1 is very clearly the way to play this. Duren, at the salaries, Duren's a way better play. Like Stewart's okay. Obviously, there's a ceiling there. Don't expect that again. But I have a lot more interest in Duren. This is the first cup game for both of these teams as well. And again, like it's a potential blowout, but with cup games, you never really know how teams are going to play it. Yeah. That it is the first game gives Detroit a chance to kind of jump out in front of the group. Boston and Philly have already played, but I think they have like a 1 point differential each. So Detroit can kind of get out to a head start here if they win in a big way. So I do like Duren. I love Cade. I'm kind of all over Cade every single night, it seems, and he's never really owned as much as the other studs, which is kind of interesting. I do have a studs on the slate, so I would kind of expect that again. And if you are really getting into the Brooklyn value, running it back with a Piston makes sense, because if the Pistons are going to get, or if the Nets are going to get there, they probably need Detroit they probably need to keep the game close with Detroit. So I do like that side. I think Ron Holland, again, 4,200, a very similar play to this Brooklyn value without Tobias Harris, has a roll off the bench. Great spot. I'm fine, playing that into lower ownership. Duncan Robinson to a lesser extent, very low floor, but it is a good matchup against Brooklyn. So, and I love Azur Thompson as well. So once again, I'm pretty heavily invested in Detroit. Feels terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan is 4'6" and getting minutes. Like, I don't mind him as a value to get away from the Nets guys. But I'm with you. Like, everybody here looks good. The only question is, do you like them more than some of the other plays, and are you afraid of the blowout? But Cade, Duren, Azur Thompson, I'll be getting to them quite a bit. Mostly Cade and Duren of that trio, though. All right, on the other side, the Nets, like, they do exist. They're here on an 8-game slate, and there's a lot of usage to go around with no Cam Thomas. Michael Porter Jr. does look good here. If the game can stay close, he could absolutely nuke. He's been kind of doing that lately. 53 fantasy points last game, 43 plus in 3 straight games. Like, the guy does not hesitate to shoot, and he's turning into a pretty good isolation scorer. And he's a good spot up shooter too. So across the board, 7K for Michael Porter Jr. If the game stays close, that feels too cheap. Nick Claxton against Duren isn't something I really want to do, but at 6K flat, it's not the worst play. I think the value looks okay. Like, if the game stays close, it's Smash City. Terrence Mann, Tyrese Martin, Noah Clowney, maybe even Zaire Williams at 3.8. They're all playable. I saw something also about Igor with Cam Thomas. Like, I don't know if he's going to play. He's been getting like some DNPs or like limited action, but with Cam Thomas on the floor, he had like an 8% usage rate, and like without Cam Thomas, he had an 18% usage rate. So he just gets way more involved. So I think, especially if you are leaning into blowout, I think Igor is a little bit more interesting. But there's just a lot of risk with the Nets. Right now, we don't have crazy value available to us. So the Nets do look pretty appealing, as bad as that feels.
Yeah. I don't really want to do it, but I will to some extent.
Begrudgingly stacking Nets.
Yeah, like they have a lot of bodies still available, even if many of them may not play at all. Guys like Drake Powell, Tyson Etienne, Nolan Traore, things like that. But the guys who are going to chalk, Tyrese Martin, Terrence Mann, Noah Clowney, Michael Porter Jr. are all fine. Clowney's the one who I think has the highest ceiling of that group. under 4K, power forward center, so not the greatest eligibility on a slate where we have a lot of outfield spots, but he has been starting. The issue is when he's not playing the 5, kind of hovering around the perimeter, so he's kind of reliant on making threes. But, decent per minute guy historically. Mann and Martin, I think I prefer Martin just because you can play him at shooting guard, and Mann is small forward only, which seems wrong. But I'm currently getting to both a lot. I'll probably make some rules to not get more than like 2 of these punt nets in a lineup. I think 3 is kind of asking a lot, especially with Porter, potentially Claxton generating most of the ownership. So I think these guys have very low floors. They're going to be mega chalky. I understand why, and I will get into them a little bit, but it's really hard to like or feel good about.
Yeah, it is a slate dependent value dive situation. I don't love it, but at the same time, I kind of have to until something else better presents itself. All right, so Houston and San Antonio, we got Wemby and Şengün. It's a real life battle that we want to watch, but it might not be the best for DFS purposes. The Spurs are very good defensively, and so are the Rockets. So this is not a high total game. Oddly enough, though, sometimes these types of games just end up being really intense and like going to OT, so we can still get there pretty easily. Şengün 9.5, 46-point fantasy projection. Hey, him and Wemby seem to like really go all out when they play each other too. So he is very much in play. Not going to pay for scoring dependent KD. Amen Thompson's the better play in my opinion, even though he's a little bit more expensive and projects slightly worse. Tari Eason at 5K is an okay value. Steven Adams is questionable, so keep an eye on that. But honestly, like I don't mind Şengün. I feel like 9.5. I'd rather play Giddy or go up to like Cade. Amen looks good, but it's just not a game I'm getting a lot of.
Yeah, I think this is the most interesting actual game on the slate, but from a DFS standpoint, it's kind of hard to get there.
Yeah.
Houston lives on the offensive glass. They do a lot of their scoring in the paint. And with Wemby there, that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for men to get easy buckets with Wemby there. Şengün generally struggles against longer defenders. He has had games against Wemby before where he's destroyed him. So there is a strength advantage, but not the greatest spot, and paying a full 9.5 salary for Şengün. I always feel like I want to get to these guys because I feel like someone is going to get there. I think Tari Eason's the one who's easiest to justify at 5K flat. Even with Jabari back, he has a role off the bench. He's been shooting well. The 3-pointers should be there for Houston. They're going to be able to paint with Wemby. So Tari's okay. KD, I don't mind. 8.2 is getting pretty cheap for him, even if he is scoring dependent, but the others are tough sells.
Yeah, man, like you said, Wemby is going to kind of dissuade people from going inside a little bit. The Spurs give up the 5th most 3-point attempts. So if Houston's hitting their outside shots, they could get hot here. I'm just not like a big believer in it.
They actually give up the 5th fewest 3-point attempts. But
oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was I looking at? Well then, never mind. All right, moving on here. We got Spurs on the other side. Wemby, 12.3K. Not my stud of choice, but of course you can always make a case for Wemby. He has been not great the last 2 games, so certainly he is due to blow up. Not really the best spot to bet on it, but he projects really well. Not necessarily for the price, in my opinion. Stephon Castle is the better value at 7.4, coming with almost a 40-point fantasy projection. The other guys, not that interesting. If you want to pay for Wemby, he's going to be unowned probably, or low-owned at least. And then Castle is a pretty good dollar-for-dollar play.
Yeah, it's tough to pay for Wembanyama on the slate and in this matchup, but that is probably just a case to play him. I probably won't very much. I'm not feeling good about that, but the slate doesn't really call for that unless a lot more value opens up, makes it easy to get to. But even then, Giannis is facing the Bulls. So it's kind of clear cut who you pay up for if you have the money to pay up, I think. If Wembanyama is under 10% owned, then obviously you play him a little bit. It's hard to get over the field on that, but it's hard to do that with a lot of volume. I do think Castle's fine. 7.4 is kind of getting up there, though. Not a great spot either. So as much as I want to watch this game, I don't really want to play it.
That is entirely fair. All right. Charlotte Hornets in Miami. No Bam on the other side, and potentially no LaMelo. I think he's actually out, isn't he?
Let's fucking see. He's doubtful.
I mean, he's not in the projections right now, so just I guess keep an eye on it if we don't know for sure.
He's doubtful officially.
Okay, so with him probably out and Bam out, I think it's kind of a wash here. Yeah, Colin Sexton season. So is Colin Sexton. So that changes.
And no one pops
for sure
yet.
And who?
I don't see anyone popping yet, but maybe I'm looking at old stuff.
Yeah, it's probably not updated. So obviously that's going to be good for like Trey Mann, Zion James, KJ Simpson. Gosh, I mean, Miles Bridges gets the biggest boost at 8.6K. He's going to project really well. Probably going to push for 50 fantasy points here. Kalkbrenner is going to pop a little bit more at 5.3. Knipple, he's gonna look better. He already looks decent. So yeah, I mean, like we should have some interest in the Hornets here. Like we'll refresh here to see if we can get updated projections on the fly. I don't know if it's gonna pop that quickly.
Yeah, it looks like Trey Mann is really popping.
Yeah,
4,800.
sure
No Sexton, no LaMelo, no Brandon Miller.
Oh God.
If he starts, I mean, I like that more than the Brooklyn stuff. Like Miami's playing at the fastest pace in the league. Trey Mann loves to shoot. He doesn't love to take shots. He probably does love to make them. He's just not good at it. But if he gets the volume, which I assume he will in a starting role like this, kind of hard to get away from that, even though it feels really nasty. I guess you can pivot to KA if Trey Mann's going to be mega chalk, which at this point I assume he certainly will. Feels great. Knipple, I do like. Guard forward eligible. Been getting usage when LaMelo's missed games. They're getting him minutes. And this cup game, let's see if they've played in the cup yet. They have not. So Bridges is good. Kalkbrenner's okay. Diabate, we always make the same case for Diabate with Kalkbrenner in the tier one. Yeah, it suddenly kind of looks like a Hornet slate.
Yeah, I mean, it feels better than the Nets. This is a close spread, a high game total. The Heat are also undermanned, no Hero, no Bam. So, like, I actually do like it a lot. So, the core will be updated, my friends, for sure. So, yeah, Miles Bridges, that's a premium play. I said pushing 50 fantasy points, coming at 46 right now. That makes sense. Like, I would much rather at this point go get to him than prioritizing like MPJ in such a massive spread, so he looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Across the board, Charlotte looks good. Let's look over at Miami. No Bam, so we get a boost here. Ware looks really good at 5.6. Ideally, he starts, but he crushed off the bench when Bam was out, or when Bam left the game the other day. But he looks really good. Davion Mitchell at 5.5. He's a way better value on FanDuel at 4.6, but at 5.5, he is definitely in play. Jaime Jaquez will get a boost, but 6.3 still feels a bit rich, even with Bam and Hero out. Norm Powell, like, he's not really getting max minutes or anything. He had 30 the other game in a close game. 6.7 feels like a lot for a scoring dependent guy, but he's okay. Wiggins is okay. I think Ware and then maybe Davion is going to be where I go here. And like, you do want to consider a Heat run back just because, number one, there's extra usage to go around. And number two, like, you're playing Hornets probably now. So if I'm doing that, if I'm doing that, I think Ware is the first guy I'm looking at. But you could talk me into some other Heat for sure.
Yeah, I love Khalil Ware. I don't really see much not like the spot against the rookie center on the other side. No Bam generally bodes well for him, like we saw last season. So I think Ware is underpriced for the role. I think Wiggins and Powell are also pretty good tournament plays if people are going to shy away from that. It's a good matchup against Charlotte, and the game has a high total, a tight-ish spread. So I don't mind digging into both sides of this game a lot. I think Jaquez is playable if he's going to be unowned. Jovic to a lesser extent. Don't love that Jovic is center only. That limits his view considerably. But I love Ware. I think Ware is just an awesome play on this slate.
100% agreed. All right, Dallas and Memphis. Dallas has a really good matchup here. Still no Brow. So PJ at 7.2 looks good. Cooper Flagg had his breakout game, baby. 43 fantasy points last time out. It's a good spot. So if you want to pay 6.9K for him and play him, that's fine. I think PJ is just a better play. D'Lo should start again because they gave up on Clay, rightfully so. He didn't get there last time, but he is a high usage guy. So I think he's an okay play at 6.3. Gafford looks awesome. Don't love that he's limited, but 5K is not a lot to pay for such a good permanent guy in a really good spot. projects really well for the price. Just wish he would play a little bit more. So if he can like push for like 30 minutes, like he looks really good. I like the idea of pairing Gafford and Ware at this point at center. But yeah, Mavs look good. It's a good spot.
Yeah, it is a good spot. Memphis has been getting run over so far. 2 games ago, Dallas ran the offense through Russell down the stretch, and Flag was just a passenger. In the last game, it was the complete opposite. They lost both, but I would imagine that they want to play Flag in that kind of role, because what's the point of trying to get some of D'Lo, who's approximately 45 years old? So I think Russell's still playable. I don't love that Flag is kind of hovering around 7K. I feel like he'd be more appealing if he was mid 6s, low 6s, but in the matchup, it's fine. I think he's got a pretty low floor, of course. PJ is expensive, but still viable in tournaments. We've seen stealing from him. Najee Marshall just as a pivot from the Brooklyn stuff. And then Gafford, I agree, is very strong mid center.
Yeah, PJ's tough because he is definitely in a spot matchup-wise and role-wise where he could absolutely nuke. So, like, for his upside at 7-2, he's a really good price. But he also has a ton of games here where Brow wasn't around and he's just kind of like, he's just like, okay. So, like, it's tough. I think he's a really good play. I don't think he's a core play because he's 7.2K and there's other plays on his slate. But he's my favorite play here after Gafford. Gafford at 5K is going to be tough for me personally to get away from. I just hope he gets the minutes so I get more upside out of that. On the Memphis side, John Morant, you can always play him in tournaments. He does project pretty well. He's under 9K. I think you liked him the other day. What did he end up doing? 36. Like, he hasn't had a lot of good matchups lately. Plus, he got like suspended for the one game. It's just a weird situation. I think, GPP for life, you can play him. 7.9K JJJ, who's been awful. You can play him too. Not really into it. I guess you could break out the Santi Hive at 6 even here. I'm not going to do that either. Once again, Cedric Coward is probably the only guy I would look at on the Memphis side. Decent role. Like, they're not maxing out his minutes or anything, but he's playing well like every single night. You would think they would just let him play. So if he can get like 30 plus minutes, he could smash at 5.5, and I don't think anybody's really gonna be on him.
Yeah, Coward's fine. Good positional stuff. So I think he's viable. Josh price is coming down. So I'm more interested in getting there than I was the other night when he was like 9.6 or something, but still a tough sell. Just the way they've played. They still have a lot of bodies off the bench and stuff. So it's really hard to get to Memphis in general. I think in the Marshfield tournament, the guy I'm getting the most is Charles Betsy, 3,500 center, good per minute guy off the bench. And Dallas is just fucking awful on the boards and in the paint defensively without AD and Lively. So Dustin Batty in a large field multi-entry setting, but otherwise not really into Memphis.
Bassey, not currently in the projections. That's always
yeah. They admitted him. I told them to put him in there.
Nice work. All right, Bulls and Bucks, my favorite game of the night. I don't think I'm gonna be alone on that. It's got a really nice spread. 4-point spread, really nice total, fast-paced teams, not a ton of defense here. Giddey looks like a god, 51-point fantasy projection, 9.3K. He is my favorite dollar-for-dollar stud on the entire slate. Miles Bridges at this point is ranking number 2 behind him for me. Vooch is okay, good, decent price at 8K, okay projection. Don't hate him, don't love him. I think he's fine if you want to do that. Buzelis, 6K. Trey Jones, 5.6 if AO remains out. If AO's in, he's an okay value. But for me, for the Bulls side, it is all Giddey, baby.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue. He should probably be 10K. He's not. And Milwaukee is not the most imposing defense. So right there with you on that. Io, I think, is another great pivot from the Brooklyn stuff. Guard forward eligible, 4,400 if he's in. He's missed at least the last game. So certainly not a sure thing. I think if he's out, you can consider guys like Herter. I think Jones looks a little better. I think you can always roll the dice with Jalen Smith just as a pure punt off the bench, but kind of just Giddey and then some Io and not much else.
Yeah, do you buy the ownership here on Giddey at 18%, or would you go above or below that, you think?
Way higher than that.
Yeah. I mean, I hope the field only wants to come in at like 18, 19%, because that'd be awesome. I mean, there is Cade. Like, Cade also exists, and now like Miles Bridges is going to get steamed up at 8.6. So It wouldn't be like impossible, but whatever the case, owned or not, Giddey looks amazing. On the other side, so does Giannis, best projection of the slate, beating Wemby like 10 fantasy points by like 10 fantasy points here. The Bulls are not good on the inside or against fast breaks. So like Giannis could just absolutely feast in this spot. Ryan Rollins at 6'2", I think he's okay. Totally fair play. Probably the only other guy I'd get to with confidence here. I think you can take a shot at Gary Trent just because he's going to play a good amount at 4'9", and he's useful at small forward. Nobody else really stands out. Like Miles Turner has a ceiling, he just has not played very well with the Bucks so far. But Giannis looks amazing. I personally am going to try to get Giannis and Giddey together in lineups, and we'll see how it goes.
I mean, Giannis is averaging 2.05 fantasy points per minute still, and we're like 3 weeks into the season, so pretty insane. Cheaper than Wemby by $700, which is also surprising and notable. For better game environment. Yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about Giannis. I do have bad things to say about the rest of the Bucks because I will be playing none of them.
Yeah, I'm not going to really target any of them right now. Last game of the night, Utah against Minnesota. We have Lauri Markkanen coming out with a decent projection, 8.3K. I think he's okay. Keontae George is the way better play, in my opinion, by comparison. I don't think they're must, though. Like, it's on the road against a good defensive team. Nurkic at 6'3" against Rudy. I think he's still in play just because he's going to start and get good minutes, and he's a great per minute guy, and he's been playing well. Just not a good spot. So, like, these guys are not going to be very owned. Maybe Nurk will pick up a little bit of steam. I just think that Gafford and Ware are better plays and save you like $1,000. And if you're going to pay 6.3 for Nurk, why don't you just go all the way up and get Duran at 7.4? You know, like, I don't see the point in doing it, but he is still in play. And if you want to get low-owned Lowry or Keontae, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I think Nurk's a good play. Still affordable relative to his upside. The minutes are always going to be kind of questionable. He's played 30-plus in consecutive games. I don't know if that'll be the norm going forward. Like, he played 21 in his first start, which was a blowout loss. So, worth noting. I think he's fine. I'll get a little bit of him. You can always play Lowry or George, like you said, but Utah is still deep, even without Kessler. Not my favorite team to target either.
That is fair. Timberwolves on the other side at home, they get a better matchup in this game. Obviously, they are 12.5-point favorites. The game does have a good total, though, because Minnesota has, I think, the highest implied total. No, second highest implied team total of the slate behind Cleveland, I believe. Or they tie with the Bucks. Point is, they're projected to score a crap ton of points. So Anthony Edwards, now the second game back, I think he's a little bit more appealing than he was. 8.9K, that is a fine price. Julius Randle, not interested in paying a premium for him with Ant back. DiVincenzo, same deal. Really not interested in anybody. Maybe Naz Reid off the bench at 5'3", just because he does have a good usage rate and is a good per minute guy. But I think Edwards, now that like Miles is going to be owned, there's Giddey, there's Giannis. Like, I think Edwards is going to go completely overlooked, and that is an interesting hammer play. But then again, there's like 4 hammer games on the slate, so I don't think we need to go out of our way to do that necessarily.
Yeah, I think he's a really strong play. He's just underpriced for who he normally is. He only got 28 minutes in his first game back, but they did get wrecked by New York. So if the game tonight is more competitive, which I assume it will be, or they win in a blowout, I think he should see 30-plus. He didn't miss that much time with his hamstring, but it is a hamstring. So I think he's worth a shout. Someone playing a ton. Not 3, like you said, is okay. Rudy Gobert revenge, probably not. But yeah, I kind of want to like Minnesota more than I actually do.
Yeah, it's totally fair. I think but like I said, if I'm doing anything, it is Ant, because the other guys they're too priced up for when Edwards is out. Sid is asking KJ Simpson.
You can, like I said, if Man is chalk, you can pivot to KJ as a punt, but
he's going to get run.
Yeah, he'll play. I just, he's probably off the bench. Not great, but it's fine if you need to pivot again from the Brooklyn stuff.
I mean, that game still does have an 8-point spread. I'm curious to see how that shifts. So it could blow out, and then Simpson would get extended run or something. But even just off the bench with a shortened rotation and everything, I think he's a fair play, fair value at 3.5K. Kind of just depends on what you want to do, what contest you're in. Like if you're playing cash games, I don't see any reason to play Simpson. If you're in like a single entry, I don't think you really need to do that either. If you're in like a big contest where you have like 100K to the first place, yeah, you can take a shot on somebody like Simpson and just like aim for the moon and stack up as many studs as you can get. But all right, that is going to do it for us. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us in Discord. Oh, Sid's got another question before we sign off here. He said, do you guys like Alex Sarr as a sneaky play for the first set of games? I did say earlier that, I always like Sarr because he does have a ceiling and he's a great permanent guy. It's not really a great spot for him. And he does seem to have like a minutes cap for whatever reason. So is he sneaky? Yes, he's sneaky because of the reasons I said, and he's not going to be owned. But I'm not like super excited to get to him at that price point. You have a majorly loud leaf blower going on. It's
I
always,
sure do.
Why do they always wait until we do a stream? It's insane. They do it here too. You get the lawnmowers and all this stuff coming out. Anyways, what do you think? I think you agree basically, but what do you think about Sarr?
Yeah, I brought him up. Totally fine tournament play. We've seen ceiling from him. The minutes just haven't really been that great. So he does have a low floor. It is the Wizards against the Cavs, so there is certainly systemic failure risk. Sam Merrill seems unnecessary to me, but you can kind of do anything with cheap stuff in a large field tournament.
Yeah, just in the name of like great matchup, and he's like in the same price point as Terrence Mann and these Nets guys. So I also don't think you need to do it. I think I'd be dancing between the Hornets and the Nets. I think the Nets are now less of a concern. Like we don't need to play Nets now. Like Terrence Mann is, or is it no Trey Mann, right? Yeah, Trey Mann. Trey Mann looks like really, really good now. So I just don't think you have to play Nets. It just depends on what your build is and what your contest is. But yeah, Merrill gets the Wizards, and if Hunter's out or something, he could get a little bit extra run. Plus, there is blowout risk, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Like I said, it just depends on what you're trying to do. Doug here says he's playing T-Man and Merrill. Godspeed, sir. Godspeed.
You can play a double T-Man lineup if you want.
That's true. That's true. I do still like some of the Nets. Like it's risky. That's all. It just again, it
the
depends.
Nets look better if they, if the ownership really comes down. Then I'm kind of more on board with it. Just as mega chalk like earlier,
yeah,
something that feels pretty awful.
Okay, so if regardless of ownership, who's your favorite value net? Like who's the one you feel is like has the best combination of like stability and ceiling? I think Mann would be the one, right?
I think Mann is probably the most stable. I think the ceiling would be Clowney. And I think the most playable is Martin, just because of the shooting guard. But again, with Trey Mann there, a guy like Martin is just going to look worse inherently.
Do you want to run through a quick build before we sign off here?
If it's real quick.
If it's the quickest as we can go. Okay, so let's just walk through what we would probably do as things stand. Obviously, things can change. But if we go to the Hornets, we'd probably lock in Trey Mann. I think you agree
shooting
with that.
Guard, probably, right? Yeah, because you probably want Giddey at point guard, I assume.
It's just like automatically kicks him to point guard, though.
Just do the drop down, pick shooting guard from the drop down, then he'll go there. See his positional stuff right there.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I never used that feature. I just never had to. Okay, so Trey Mann, shooting guard. Let's see. At this point, you can go a lot of ways. Who are you like? Where are you at as far as the top stud you want to pay for tonight? I am like I said, I am on Giddey and Giannis the most, but I suppose for the purpose of maybe running the system here, we could come to one to build with.
Probably Giannis then, right? Like if there's enough cheap stuff, Giannis is the one that has the higher ceiling, I think.
Agreed. All right. I think another spot would be picking one center that we agree is a great play. Mine would probably be Ware. Yep. I don't think we're going to be alone on that at all. These are pretty chalky plays, but they're also really good plays. Let's pick one more guy and they'll run and see, just to give you an idea as to where things are trending right now. I guess small forward is ass, so we could just go there and see who we like the most.
Terrence Mann
Yeah, Terrence Mann. I mean, that looks pretty good to me too. All right.
or
So
IO. I like IO quite a bit.
Almost same exact price. If you want to switch IO for Terrence Mann, totally fine. Let's just run this real quick, just to give you an idea of how you can construct lineups tonight as things stand at 2:21 Central. We got 4 plays here that are going to be pretty owned, but they also all look really good. You don't have to play Giannis, but he's the most clickable play of the slate, highest ceiling, highest projection, best matchup. Like, I just don't see a point in fading Giannis with all the value that we're starting to get here. So it's taking a second to build, but it'll give you.
Probably stop it. We probably need 150, do we?
All right. Oh, it still wants all the Nets. All right, so it gave us Tyrese Martin and Michael Porter Jr. I still like Michael Porter Jr. There's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with Martin. Stephon Castle is a great dollar-for-dollar play. I'm not sure I really want to get to him necessarily, but because it's the Rockets as a matchup, it's not ideal. Like I said before, love Gafford, so I'm okay with this for sure. I personally do want to find a way to get Giddey in there as well, so that's what I'm going to strive for, which might get me off of the Castle MPJ combination as things stand. How do you feel about this optimal, and where are you trying to head?
Yeah, I said I'd probably manage the Nets cheap stuff, so it doesn't really come into play there. Like, I think I would max to the cheap Nets, so that's fine with that. I'm kind of with you on Castle, but I think the ownership they have on him is higher than it's going to be. So for a tournament, I think you can consider that. It's really spitting out like Bub Carrington, quickly, lag. It's really not amazing. So hopefully more value opens up. I think if you play Giddey, that'll naturally kind of lead you to a different build. So if you want to game stack Chicago, Milwaukee with the top 2 guys, I think that's a pretty good way to go.
Yep, agreed. Okay, that is going to do it for us. Hopefully this helps you out, gives you an idea of where you can go on the night. If you want finalized core plays for the slate, head to DFS Build, and you can just get those for $5.99 a month, as well as everything else that we do. If you just want some free advice, there's this video. You can help us out too by hitting the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want a bit more free advice, just come join us in Discord and hang out, and we'll talk about the lineups and all the plays. Thank you for watching, Doug. We appreciate everybody watching the live stream, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Well, actually, now it's a weekend, so maybe not. But all right, thanks for watching. Good luck tonight.